All right, everybody, welcome to Sprite, Spice, and Pixels. We're being very serious today because we have a very serious topic to discuss, and that serious topic is.
No, it's not.
Damn it! I was trying to do a different intro, like it's like Halloween themed. We're heading into the U.S. Thanksgiving. I was going to be like, I'm wearing all black. Let me do a really morose intro, but that did not work. We will.
Start over. Go ahead. We'll pretend that I didn't say anything. Although I'll still keep this in the podcast. But go on. Continue.
Okay, welcome everybody to Sprite, Spice, and Pixels. This is episode 30, which is a very serious topic. That's why I'm wearing a black sweater. My hair is all black. My beard is out of control. It's because today's subject is very near and dear to my heart. Everybody knows that I love to, play video games. And sometimes when you're playing video games, your controller stops working or it doesn't work the way you want it to. And that's what we're talking about. And that's why it's such a serious subject. Right,
Very serious.
Wilson?
Incredibly serious. This
What
couldn't
do you
be.
think about my intro? Like, did it make you like creeped out? Did you get scared?
Oh, top notch. Yeah. Like it was like Unsolved Mysteries. Did you ever watch Unsolved Mysteries?
I'm pretty sure I did at some point in my life.
So Unsolved Mysteries was just this show hosted by Robert Stack, and I can't really explain who he is if you don't know who he is. But he was the host of Unsolved Mysteries, and it was a show about like paranormal, missing people, UFOs, like any sort of situation that was kind of that would kind of make the person go, "Huh, I wonder what happened."
Hmm.
Like it would just throw all these true, because I'll put that in quotes because it's kind of like fiction, but kind of questionable fiction.
Okay.
And the theme song to Unsolved Mysteries was terrifying, like absolutely terrifying. And people thought that Robert Stack, like with his voice, also added to the element of, um, just kind of scariness.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I would say that the intro that you just did was on par with that. Like I'm shitting my pants right now. I'm terrified.
Nice. Nice. That's exactly what I was going for. I have
Yeah.
been watching The Outer Limits.
No
So
way.
yeah, from the 90s.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. So I'm binge watching through that right now. I'm on season 4. And it's like we have the power to dilute you with 1,000 channels or expand one image to crystal clarity. This is The Outer Limits.
I would say that the Outer Limits wasn't as um good. I don't want to say good, but like it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't as interesting as like say like the Twilight Zone or
Yeah.
Unsolved Mysteries. But the Outer Limits kind of did their own thing. Now it was all like fictional stories, of course.
It
I
was.
think it came out like along the same craze as like the X Files,
Yeah.
and
1996 was the first season.
yeah, and it just kind of was like, hey, we'll do our own thing. But I didn't think it lasted that long, right? Like how many seasons
Into
is
the
it?
early 2000s, yeah. There's been like
Really?
8 seasons, I want to say.
Oh my God, no way.
Yeah. Honestly,
Okay.
it has some really good actors in it too. Like I go back and I'm watching through these,
hmm
and I'm like, yo, this guy had a really good career. This lady had a really good career. It's nuts.
I want to say that Beau Bridges was one of the actors that I remember seeing in The Outer Limits. I think his was about like ants or something
Yes.
living in
Yes.
his
Yes.
basement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw that
that's
episode.
Beau Bridges.
The
He
Sand
was
Kings.
sorry.
They're called the Sand Kings.
Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. Forgive me. But yeah, Beau Bridges was one of the actors in that. He was like the main actor. Yeah, but yeah, Outer Limits, interesting. That's pretty
Yes.
cool. Unsolved Mysteries is on not Crave, but like one of the free. Maybe it's on Netflix. Anyways, Unsolved Mysteries is on one of those channels. So I don't know. Anybody interested in like a spookiness? Give it a shot.
Okay. This is like Black Mirror before Black Mirror, just as a heads up to people.
What Unsolved Mysteries or Outer Limits?
If Unsolved Mysteries in the same vein as Outer Limits, then both of them. Otherwise, The Outer Limits.
No,
Please.
I would say Outer Limits is its own thing. Yeah.
Okay, got you. All right, so we're back to our topic of video games. We went on a bit
Oh,
of a tangent, which we do anyways.
video
Let us
games. Yeah.
start with what we are currently playing, and I have an update for everybody. And
Excellent.
last time we did an episode, I was saying, hey, I'm trying to play Witcher 3, and I don't want to go back to my my roots, which is I tend to go back and play the same game over and over again. Well,
Uh-oh.
it happened.
Oh God.
I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima once again. I'm playing it on hard plus. Well, actually, I tried playing it on lethal, and lethal is really tough because like the weakest enemy hits you once and you die. I can't deal with that. So what I'm doing is I'm playing hard plus, but I'm using the broken samurai armor the entire time. I'm not wearing
Nice.
any like upgraded armor. The only time I'll wear an upgraded armor is if I have a really big boss fight and I die like 10 times and there's no way I can beat this person. Then I'll put real armor on. Otherwise, I am using the broken armor the entire time. And I also started playing Ghost of Tsushima Legends. Have you tried that?
Yeah, so you're doing the multiplayer. Yeah, I put like, I don't know, 10, 15 hours into
It's
that.
fun, man. It's
I
so
like Yeah, I like it. My problem is I couldn't really get any matches going. Like I would try to do other things that Legends offers and there was nobody to play
Do you
because
play
you need like,
survival or do you play
sorry,
story? Survival or story?
I tried both. I did more um I think I did more survival than story, or maybe vice versa, either or.
Okay.
Um, but like, are you playing by yourself or are you playing with people?
I play with people. So survival, I play with people, and it's interesting because I thought I would suck because I'm so low level, but I take a look at my stats at the end of every single round. And I'm like, dude, I am so much better than these guys. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I think I play games that are really high difficulty, and that helps me better prepare for this stuff.
For
Sometimes
sure.
people will play like Ghost of Tsushima or games like this as almost like a Mushu game where you just go in, you're hacking and slashing, and you can't do that all the time. So I think the reason that I do well in these is I play as a hunter, which is a long range character, which can do melee, but for the most part, it's focused on arrows, kunais, and that kind of stuff. And it's been really really fun. Like I have only played maybe 5 or 6 rounds of survival, and we have won 3 of those rounds. So we did all 15. We finished 15 levels of survival, and I was on bronze level, and now I finally got my chi level high up enough to play silver. So I'm gonna try silver next.
I'm sick. Yeah, I've played many rounds with people and we've gone right to the end and survived, if you will. Um, yeah, you know what? No, I did do more survival than story now that I think about it, because I remember the story. The story requires you going through those portals
Yes.
every once in a
Yes,
while,
yes.
to go
I
from like
can't find other
one.
people for that. So story, it's hard for me to get matched with people.
Oh
Survival is very,
wow.
yeah.
Okay, because I find survival a little bit more difficult to find people play, especially certain versions of survival. And I tried other things too, but it was just like waiting for people constantly. And finally, I was just like, you know what? I got to move on and I got to play something else because I can't just keep waiting to play with people, you know, other things instead of constantly doing the same thing over
Yeah.
and over and over again. It drove me nuts.
Well, why don't we
So
try playing survival together?
we could, yeah. But you say you're trying silver now. I don't know what I'm doing. Um,
So bronze, you can level up pretty quickly. It's just based on what kind of weapons and gear you have.
yeah.
So if you have like you start off at level 0, and based on your gear, you can get to level 25 pretty quickly in terms of chi. So it's not tough. I can still play bronze. I have no problem with playing bronze.
I I don't know what level my character was at, but I want to say they were at least at level 7 or 10, but
Okay.
maybe even higher. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
no worries. What are you playing?
Yeah. God, what am I playing right now? Biomutant still. I don't know if I've mentioned that I've been playing Phoenix Wright. Um,
Yeah, I think you posted on Facebook, but I don't think you mentioned on the podcast.
yeah, on Facebook I posted about Phoenix Wright because I'm looking for the fourth one. It turns out I don't have the fourth one. That's the only one of the Phoenix
Which
Wright
one is
games.
that?
It's called um Apollo
Apollo Justice?
uh Apollo Justice. Yes, thank you.
I
Phoenix
might
Wright
have that.
Apollo. Sorry.
I might have that. I'll take a look.
Well, I do have someone who's already got one for me.
Okay, cool.
And the funny thing, or not the funny thing, but the fun thing is that it's the most expensive one out
Mm,
of all the Phoenix Wright games.
Yes.
So I'm gonna be paying some monies for that one.
Nice.
Um, so I'm playing the third Phoenix Wright game now, which is Trials and Tribulations. This is another one that's kind of difficult to find. It's one of the more uncommon ones.
Yeah.
Um, I'm loving it. It's people call it like a visual novel, but I think it's a little bit more than that.
Mhm.
You are There are two portions. You investigate, you find clues and stuff, you interrogate people, and then there's a second portion where it's the trial, because you're a lawyer, um, and you find contradictions in people's comments, and you provide evidence to those contradictions. You press people for more information during the trial,
Mhm.
and the stories are really, really good. Like a lot of times, you think you know how it's gonna end, and it just throws you for a loop and like throws a monkey wrench in your whole mindset, and you're like, oh wow, like I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like they're really, really good stories.
Nice, man.
um
Dope.
yeah, I'm also still playing Biomutant.
Okay.
But our last episode we talked about VR again, and I'm excited to go back to VR. So I have been playing Robinson the Journey, the game I told you about.
Hmm.
And the weird thing is that the last time I played Robinson before, my recent one, um, I was fine. I didn't feel nauseous or anything like that.
Hmm.
But I tried it like a couple days ago, and I had to stop after about an hour because I started sweating, like really heavy sweating. I started feeling really nauseous. Um, so it was like motion sickness. So I had to stop, and I looked online, and it said, uh, well, I looked online on ways to combat motion sickness because I was pretty sure that's what it was, and it said, try having a fan pointed at you. So
Oh.
I have this neck fan that I use that I've been using, and it did the trick really nicely. So if anybody's having issues with VR, try a neck fan or just a fan in general, like giving you some like cold wind. And I guess what it does is it makes it so your brain's not completely thinking that it's in VR.
Okay.
I don't think it takes you out of the experience. It's just like you kind of got that wind on the back of your neck. A lot of times, it adds a little bit more to the experience actually, because I'm on like a mountainous area, and I've got the wind blowing on me, and you kind of feel like, hey, I've got wind on me. But yeah, I've gone put more and more time into Robinson, and I'm super, super digging it. And finally, I guess the last game I'll talk about is through the last through at least 5 episodes now. I think I've been talking about Ratchet and Clank and how I've been trying to get through them. Um, I'm playing Ratchet and Clank Size Matters on the PSP,
Mhm.
and I got stuck at a boss area. I had to stop. Maybe I did mention this. I've beaten that boss, and I put more and more time into it. So I think I'm at the last boss or right near the end of the game. So I'll probably move on to the next Ratchet and Clank after that, which I believe is Tools of Destruction on the PS3.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've played like 5 Clank games now, and I've still got a lot more to go because there's a lot of Ratchet and Clank games. Did you
Your connection is
know that?
breaking up. Your connection is cutting out.
Yeah, you've kind of faded as well. Yeah, you kind of faded as well.
Okay. Are
You
you
good?
back? Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
I guess this is a
Sorry.
great segue into our topic when stuff doesn't work the way that it's supposed to.
What did you hear?
I heard Ratchet and Clank size matters. You were stuck at some sort of a boss level, and then you just started cutting in and out.
Okay, yeah. So I've beaten that boss. I'm going on to the, I believe I'm at the final boss or right near the end of it. And then I'm gonna move on to the next Ratchet and Clank. And I played like 5 Ratchet and Clank games, and there's a lot of them. Like, did you know like there's how many Ratchet and Clank games there are? I don't
Well,
know how many off
PS2, isn't
topic.
there like five on the PS2, 4 or 5?
PS2 has, yeah, Ratchet and Clank,
Going
um,
Commando,
going Commando,
Arsenal.
Size Matters, Up Your Arsenal, Deadlocked. Yeah, I think that's it. I think there's 5. and
Yeah.
then the PS3 has like 4 or 5 of them, and the PS4 has one of them. PS5 has one of
Yeah.
them. So yeah, like, and I'm playing the PSP one right now. So
There you go.
yeah, and then you got the spin-offs as well, like Secret Agent Clank, which I also will be playing as well. So a lot of games I'm playing right now. But yeah, you're right. Let's move on to our actual topic.
Which is, how do you
Yeah.
explain this?
Oh God. You ever play a game and all of a sudden your controller just kind of starts fizzling on you? Um, I, that's actually not a good way to put it.
Are you
It's
trying
just
to say when stuff doesn't work the way that it's meant to?
we tend to have this reliability on our video game items, and it gets to a point where they just kind of stop working. But there are like ones that we recognize right away. Like with Joy Cons, we know that we're gonna have there. People have had problems with them.
Mhm.
With other controllers, we know that people have had problems with them. Like there are devices where it's just like, it's kind of got that. I don't want to say legacy, but it's just kind of got that, more known knowledge. That eventually you will run into a problem down the road with that item.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
that's a good way to bring it up.
and Robin has told me that he hasn't really had any situations, but maybe it's just because he has any situations with what we believe this topic to be about, as opposed to what I'm trying to what I'm
Well,
trying to say it's about.
I think like if I take a look at it from a wider lens, from like a macro level,
Mm-hmm.
I used to play a lot of StarCraft 2 pretty competitively, ladder matches. I think I used to be like I was close to being a master. I was close to being master's level, I would say. And this was back in like 2012, 2011. So I was college at the time. I remember skipping a lot of school to play StarCraft religiously on a daily basis. Because if you didn't pump in like 6 to 7 hours per day, you were not going to keep your ranking. Um, I remember I had bought a really nice Razer mouse, and I used to game on my laptop. And I guess through me just like destroying this thing on a daily basis, like pumping it in nonstop, my APM was really high, which is average clicks per minute. And I think I probably damaged the mouse, and it stopped working a lot sooner than it would have otherwise. Um, so that's one thing that comes to my mind is I played the shit out of StarCraft 2 when I was younger. And as a result, my mouse just couldn't keep up. So it died. RIP.
I can tell you one that you've probably had situations with that I think the majority of us had situations with because of one specific game, because of one specific part of the game.
Is it Mario Party?
It is Mario Party.
Is it the thumb?
Yes, it is. It is the so Mario Party had these games where you had to specifically use the analog joystick and only the analog joystick. And a lot of times the action was rotating that analog joystick over and over. You can't do that with a thumb, especially with some of the bonus or some of the mini games that you have to do. One in particular, Mario is on a like an exercise bike, and there is a ghost slowly moving towards him on that exercise bike, and you have to power that bike and turn the light on like before that ghost touches you. So you have to have enough power on that bike to power a light that's connected to the bike before that ghost touches you. And if you do your thumb, I assure you, you will not beat that mini game. It's impossible. So what we started doing, instead of going like this with our thumb, we were going like this with our hands. And it got to the point that Nintendo recognized that they would start giving people gloves to wear for their N64 controllers to use their hands for that stick. Like you would, I think you would have to reach out to them um, through like a website. I don't even know if we had websites like we do now. It might have even been like email or calling them or something like that. But yeah, they would send you a glove if you reached out to them for Mario Party. And that's how bad it was, because a lot of times after playing Mario Party, especially certain games that required us rotating that stick, our hands would be like bloody or like bruised. You'd have like an indent in your hand from that joystick. Like
Or
it
blisters.
got, yeah, it got really, really bad. And not only our hand would start getting bad, but the joystick started getting bad. A lot of um, N64 controllers would start like um, not responding as well. Like if you pushed up on your analog stick, there's a chance that you wouldn't you wouldn't move as fast as you wanted your characters to move. Like so we would have to start like replacing our sticks, or a lot of us just never did that. And it was just, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like one of the situations where we kind of accepted that that was eventually going to happen with a video game item that we had bought.
I think with the N64 controller, maybe even like Super Nintendo controllers, one thing that I can kind of look back at now is also the LR trigger buttons. Because I used to eat junk food and I used to game at the same time. And sometimes when you do that, it's not the best thing to do, because like gunk from Cheetos will get stuck in the trigger and it's not as responsive. So it'll be like sticky. You click it, it goes down, and it won't just come back up. So as a youthful child who liked to eat Doritos and loved to just put on weight by looking at food, that's what used to happen to me. Um, and then I think even like the bottom trigger for I think the N64 controller had a lot of issues. Maybe it's because it's the system I played a lot when I was younger. But I remember like the trigger, like the LR buttons used to give me issues, and sometimes the bottom trigger too.
The Z button.
Yeah.
Now, like, as in, like, it didn't respond, or it didn't click in,
It
or
didn't click in and it didn't respond. So like you would have to push it really down in order for it to actually work. It almost became like it was loose. Like normally when you have the controller, it clicks, right? When you click it, like you'll feel the click. It got to the point that you use it so much, it's almost like damp. It's dampened. That clicking is dampened.
and are you blaming the Z button, or are you blaming your Dorito hand?
I'm blaming both. They should know
Okay.
kids do dumb things. And then you also brought up a good point, because it's like all of us started doing the palm thing, but
Mm-hmm.
there was no YouTube back then. There was no
No.
tutorials. And it's like we all just collectively as a hive mind were like, we have to sacrifice our hand in order to win this game and beat this character. And that's what we used to do, is just, damage ourselves for the sake of gamedom.
How many times did you like play a multiplayer game for 64 and you were like, I'm sorry, man, you're gonna have to have that controller?
So many times, especially if it was something
Yeah.
like GoldenEye or like Mario Kart where it's fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
It's different with like, a Mario Party, because the pace can still be relatively slow. It doesn't need to be crazy fast paced. But I know with stuff that like you needed really quick reaction times, I would always take the best controller if it was
Yeah.
Mario 64.
And you'd have like somebody else, they'd have the controller and they would like constantly get die and something. They'd be like, oh, it's a controller. Like,
Yeah,
what is wrong with this
yeah,
controller?
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
you always had that. Yeah. And
Or
that's kind of what, yeah, go on.
or if you have like nieces and nephews or you have kids in the house, then you give them an unplugged controller. And it's like, oh, this is a two-player game. Why is there six controllers up? I don't know.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Yeah. Like that, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Like situations like that. And I have plenty of other situations with video game items that, you know, I trusted that kind of let me down. One, the next one I'm going to talk about let me down pretty quickly, and that is the Joy-Con. And I'm one of those people who, dealt with Joy-Con drift, and I've dealt with it even returning my Joy-Cons back to Nintendo to repair. Like, there is no way to completely fix that issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, for somebody that actually doesn't know what Joy-Con drift is, It's where your Switch joysticks kind of like move on their own. So you'll be playing a game, or you'll be on your menu, and all of a sudden it'll look like it's moving the cursor on its own, and there's really no way to fix it. The reason behind it is because your Joy-Con, the way it's made, it's got like a little compartment area for like dirt and things to kind of get in there. And that's kind of what it is. It's the dirt buildup and the dust buildup that's kind of affecting the sensors. There are ways to clean it with Q-tips and um, isopropyl. What is it?
Isopropyl.
Sorry.
Isopropyl.
Yeah. Okay. Isopropyl alcohol. So you get a Q-tip, you dab it, and then you stick it in. There's a way to kind of move the joystick back and like get right in there underneath, and you can clear up all that dirt. But that's not going to guarantee that like it's not going to fix it forever. And I started having this issue when I was playing like JRPGs, and sometimes like I would, go to attack like the enemy, and it would move to a different like command. So instead of like attacking, I would defend, or I would use some other magic or skill. It got like I got so fed up that I ended up buying like a knockoff controller to play my games. Like I didn't want to spend umpteens amount of money to play a game with a controller that I only had for like a year and a half, because it happened
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like it's the issue just really hasn't been fixed. I'm wondering what people with the Switch Lite are going to do, because the Switch Lite, you can't even take off those Joy-Cons. Like they are attached to that system.
Now, are the Switch Lite the same as a regular Joy-Con though? Like I feel like that thumbstick is different to me.
No, I'm. Oh, really?
Yeah, because I feel like it's a thicker jumps. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like I've only used a Switch Lite once, and it felt like the thumbstick was actually thicker. It felt like it was different. I could be wrong though. So maybe people seeing this podcast have tried both. Let us know.
I'm fairly certain, and I think I've even seen like people like reporting that they have had issues with the Switch Lite just through like articles and stuff that I've seen.
Okay.
Even the Switch Pro controller has issues. Like
really?
people have reported Joy-Con drift with the Switch Pro controller.
Okay. Interesting.
It's just I think it's just the way that the things were designed, because they're all controllers that have like sensors in them.
Yeah.
That kind of are different from what we have for, say the PS4, PS5, Xbox controllers, like all that. Nintendo just has like some sort of sensor in there that other controllers don't. And, buildup of dirt and dust and whatnot has kind of affected those to the umpteenth degree.
Yeah. Well, one thing you brought up when you were talking about isopropyl brought me back to my favorite system of all time, the N64. And we can all appreciate there was a time when games didn't work right away, and we had to blow on cartridges to get them to work, which is actually counterintuitive and not really the best thing to do, but we did it anyways. And it still got
Actually, I'll just quickly say, when I got my N64, like when I started getting back into collecting, I hooked up an N64 to my HD TV. It wouldn't recognize the game.
Yeah.
But if I blew into the cartridge, quickly put it in the system and turned it on, it recognized the game right away.
That's so weird.
Even if the game had been clean. Like I think it was just something to do with like the heat or the heat contacting the system and like the TV recognizing that connection. I don't know, but I guess that's just something you have to deal with now with like TVs, or maybe just me, because I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the N64 is the greatest system of all time. So as long as we can get it to work, I'm happy spreading love about the greatest system of all time to everybody, including Spencer, who I know loves Superman 64. It's one of his favorite games.
Spencer Gaffney?
Yeah, he's a huge N64 fan.
Is he really?
One of the biggest. No, he's not. Anytime
okay.
anything N64, he always harps on it. Says Sega's better, but I know
As in like, sorry, as in like the Genesis or Saturn or?
Genesis. He's a big Genesis guy.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
right on.
yeah.
So sorry, you were saying something about the N64, or was that what you wanted to say?
That's what I wanted to say. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That's it.
okay.
Yeah,
I did you want me to go on to my next one?
yeah. Go to your next one.
Okay, great. Um, I was actually gonna grab it, but I decided not to. So do you remember? Well, I'm sure you do, but I'll say this anyway. Do you remember the Ouya?
I do. I do. Yeah,
You do. Oh,
I
snap.
do.
Bam, 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 bam.
I do. Yeah.
So the Ouya was like this little kind of portable, not portable console, but it was like this mini little console that had like an Android operating system inside it. That I'm actually holding my hand up, an operating system inside it, and it allowed. It was like it was supposed to be this like revolutionary console that just kind of fizzled. But I wanted one when I first heard about it. Like it was a huge Kickstarter. I think that Ouya is actually what started the whole gamers or sorry, developers and designers using Kickstarter for their own video games. Maybe there were games before that or stuff before that, but I think that Ouya kind of really, got a lot more people on board with using Kickstarter for their own projects because of how successful. I'll put that in quotes because it was successful, but in the end, it wasn't. After like a year or so, um, and it was just this little device that allowed like people to play games on it. You could they made it seem like you could develop games really easy on it. Um, the games would be free for everybody, but it was like demos, like free demos for like any game. You could try any game you wanted, and if you liked it, you could buy it and play the rest of it. But the games ended up really not being that great. There were a couple standouts. Towerfall being one of them. Towerfall started on the Ouya,
I did not know that.
and yep, um, it started on the Ouya, and that's where I first played it. And I actually ended up buying like 3 or 4 more Ouya controllers so I could have other people playing it. But the Ouya controller was so like bad and broken. You would have to connect it via Bluetooth, and it was a Bluetooth. Maybe I think it was Bluetooth, and it just the connection was never reliable. A lot of times you would play Towerfall and someone would like not be able to move,
Hmm.
and like it kind of ruined the game. I never had like I didn't have many good experiences with the Ouya just because of that controller. Honestly, I stopped playing it because of that damn controller. If
Wow.
that controller had been good, there's a chance I might have been playing my Ouya for a little bit longer, much longer maybe,
Yeah.
because it did have some decent games on it.
Yeah.
But because the controller, the thing I'm using to play those games was so broken,
Yeah.
I had to stop.
I think the bare
It,
minimum of anybody playing any game is they want to be able to play it. So if you can't play it and you're running into issues with like the hardware, it's tough for you to get into the game.
Yeah, like, and there was no way to connect it wirelessly.
Yeah.
And even still, if you could connect it wirelessly, you'd only be able to connect like one controller.
Yeah.
Because it was just, I think the Ouya had like, I don't know, 2 or 3 different outputs on it. I know it had a mini, an SD, USB, and maybe like the power. I think it actually had an HDMI as well, but
Okay.
that doesn't matter. Yeah, the controller was just so faulty.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. It reminds me of another controller of Days Gone, the NES Power Glove controller. But I guess the Power Glove, at least the difference there is you never really had the expectation that it was going to work great. And in most cases, it didn't. So when it did work great, it was like, dude, this is amazing. But for most cases, people like this doesn't work that well.
a lot of times you had to input a code into it. Like you had to find the game that way you wanted to play, and you would input a code into the Power Glove, and I guess that kind of set up the commands and stuff. I remember my first experience with the Power Glove was my what was his name? Mark. I think his name was Mark. He was like my best friend when I was like 6 years old or something, and he got Mario 3 for his birthday, the year it came out, and a Power Glove. So he was trying to play Mario 3 with the Power Glove, and I was watching him. And Mario was just jumping everywhere and moving everywhere, and he couldn't control it. And he just had his hand like this. And Mario was just going blink, 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 just like this, not doing anything else, just blink, blink, blink. Like it was just, I don't know, it was just the sensors or something. And the Power Glove wasn't like they say that the Power Glove was made for like playing all your games, but I really believe the Power Glove was only made for specific titles.
Mm-hmm.
How many games were actually made for the Power Glove? One, two?
Ball. There was Glove Ball.
Yeah. Glove Ball's the first one I can think of.
Yeah, I can't think of anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
Any like Power Glove exclusive game, I can't.
Yeah, like I think it was just like one or two Power Glove games, and then everything else was just kind of like shoot for the moon if you can play it or not.
Well, they had so much random shit on the NES. There was like the Menacer. There was the laser scope, the one you put over your head with like the scout looking thing from Dragon Ball Z. There was a lot of random stuff, peripherals on the NES. Like it was trying to accomplish a lot and be very futuristic. It would be interesting for like these companies to go back and try something similar to that in this day and age with the technology that we have now. Like you take a look at Meta. In our last podcast, I was telling you how I wanted virtual reality to be a thing where I could actually live and feel what my character is feeling in VR, and that's what Meta.
Yeah, you said you wanted to input something in the back of your neck.
I've taken a step back. I've taken a step back. I don't want anybody to connect to my brain, but I still want to feel. So Meta's coming out with this like new haptic technology where if you touch something in the virtual world, you'll feel it through these like haptic sensors. So it would be interesting for something like Oculus or maybe Nintendo, which usually creates pretty interesting peripherals, to try something different and see how it interacts with the world, because things are changing very quickly. You take a look at Ray-Ban. Ray-Ban came out with these like recordable glasses, and there's a lot of tech that's coming out, and I hope that we're able to combine this new technology with video games and hopefully have like a brand new, very immersive experience.
Did you you called it Meta, by the way, didn't you? Not Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, you've already kind of accepted that?
I guess it's my marketing background. I saw their big brand refresh. So like Facebook is Facebook still, but Meta is the parent company now.
Kind of like Google and Alphabet?
Yeah. Did you know Alphabet, one of the core principles back in the day was don't be evil or something like that, and they took it away like a few years later. So
what?
Yeah.
So you can be evil now?
I think yeah. I mean, like that. One of the core. Let me just fact check. Alphabet, don't be evil.
I don't like that at all.
Okay, so Google's code of conduct. The original motto was retained by in Google's code of conduct, which was "Don't be evil." And then in 2018, the motto was removed. So now we know that ever since April of 2018, it's okay to be evil, according to Google.
That's not good. That's terrifying, actually. That's more terrifying than your jack into the virtual reality through your appendages situation.
Well, I mean, like it's all big data, right? Like big data is where the world is gravitating towards, and then you use statistics and big data and you combine it together to get a better understanding of potential outcomes of situations. So I guess that's why Google, they don't care about being evil anymore. It's because they can predict shit.
When you were talking about peripherals, I was thinking like there were a lot of like really interesting peripherals that I had wanted to try as a kid and just never got around to it. Like I would read video game magazines like GamePro, Electronic Gaming Monthly, Nintendo Power, and they'd have advertisements for these like peripherals like the Activator, and what was the one that was like a backpack that you would
isn't that the Menacer?
No, the Menacer was the gun. The Menacer was the Sega gun.
Okay. Oh, I
It was the
forgot.
Yeah, the Menacer was the Genesis gun.
Okay. I don't
Uh,
remember what the rest is called.
the Activator was the Octagon
Okay.
that you would play. Like, I think they advertised Eternal Champions
Okay.
for the Genesis for that game, where they use that as like its main, like, the game that you can play with that. I think it was advertised as like something to use for like fighting games and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, there was one that you would, I think it would use for Genesis as well, and it was a backpack, and it was kind of before Rumble controls or like Rumble packs or any of that, and you would wear the backpack, and when you were playing the game, you could like feel, if you got like injured or something. It was like it was making you more part of the game.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was called, but anyways, whatever. What I'm getting at, or what I was going to ask, is was there a peripheral that you, I don't know, you really wanted to play or
Um,
use?
for me, nothing crazy ever stood out. One sec. Was it the U Force?
No, UForce was the one where it would like recognize your hand motion.
Okay. So for me, I guess the peripheral that I enjoyed using the most would have been Charlie Stop. Would have been multi taps. So allowing you to play. His bone was underneath the table. I had to kick it away because
Oh,
he's such a princess, man. Like if it's out of his reach, instead of being smart and going a different angle, he just cries until I give it to him. I've
Silver
always,
Spoon.
yeah, he's definitely a very spoiled child.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So for me, multi-tap is the one that I use the most. Super Nintendo, um, N64. No, not on the N64. Maybe on the PS1. I probably use the multi-tap there. That's probably the peripheral I use the most, aside from like Game Genie.
I yeah, I would use multi taps as well. I have one or two NES advantages,
Yeah.
which were like the big kind of arcade stick looking controllers for the NES,
Yeah.
where you had two controller ports and you'd have to plug it into both of them.
Yeah.
Um, and I would use that because it was kind of like a multi tap. It had like rapid buttons or rapid presses, and I would use that for certain games. I beat many NES games using that controller.
Nice.
Um, yeah, like some good times with that controller. I was pretty happy to get another one. Um,
Did you use the Super Scope at all?
yeah, I actually really liked that.
Me too.
It was like a Tetris game kind of that came with the Super Scope 6 game pack.
I never played
Um,
it. I played it with Metal Warrior or Metal Warriors?
Combat,
Metal
Metal
Combat.
Combat.
Yeah, Metal Combat.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was.
fun. Yeah.
I think Metal Combat was the second in a series.
Battle
Because
Clash was the first one. Or
sorry,
Battle Clash was
Battle.
the one.
Yes, Battle Clash and then Metal Combat.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, I never actually played those games, but I do remember seeing the commercials for those
Yeah.
games. Now, going on to the topic of like unreliable, did you ever have any issues with the Super Scope?
A lot, yeah. I feel like if you were shooting from too far away, it wouldn't pick it up. Based on the type of TV you were using, the size of the TV, that made a difference too. Whether you put the sensor on the top or the bottom, so it took a lot of time to like figure that out. This actually brings up another point. So I used to use the PS2 iToy a lot. Do you remember that?
I actually have an iToy, yeah.
Yeah. And it was really fun. Like it was really cool for back in the time being able to like I guess it's like an immersive experience, right? Because I remember there was a game where there was like bubbles and stuff and you had to pop them with your hand.
Yes.
And that
Yes,
was
I do
really
remember
fun.
that.
But I remember that became finicky with me after a while. And I guess maybe it's because I would always like roll it, scrunch it up and put it away instead of just leaving it out. And maybe that messed with the wires or something. But the iToys, this is something that I enjoyed playing with a lot, but it ended up dying on me or like not working as well as I wanted it to. in its later years.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Um,
Got to experience.
my
Yeah.
sorry, my Super Scope. I actually bought a Super Scope many years back. Um, it's actually modded, so I don't need batteries. It's got like a
Oh,
plug on it, like connected to it.
nice.
Yeah, someone fixed it. Problem is, I didn't realize until after, but I didn't know it needed sensors. Mine didn't come with sensors.
Oh, like you mean this sensor, right?
Yeah,
The one that goes at the front?
yeah. I don't have any sensors for it, so I can't use it. But
The sensors
yeah,
are
I've got
what?
a modded Super Scope.
Nice. That's cool.
Sorry.
The sensors are like $1 on eBay, or like $5 or something. They're not. They're pretty inexpensive. In fact, I might have
Really?
one lying around. Yeah, if I have one, I'll just give it to you.
I didn't know they were cheap. But I guess maybe I just didn't go looking for them.
At least I
Huh.
think they were cheap. I just threw a bunch of them out. Like I just Super Scopes never used to sell for me. Super Scope sensor. All right, I'm gonna take the over under of $5 and say it is over $5. Oh, what? They're actually pricey. Well, not pricey. It's about like $15 for a sensor.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it'll give you the experience to use your modded Super Scope.
Yeah, for sure. And plug
Yeah,
it in and shoot some stuff.
exactly. No,
That's
no better way to get your pent up aggression out than to shoot stuff.
right. So yeah, I guess those might be the three main issues I've had. I do know that I have had friends who have PS4 controllers
Yeah.
who had issues eventually with the bumpers. They would play a lot of Call of Duty or Battlefield, and eventually their bumpers would just break. And I don't mean like, they just stop working. Like they would actually like break off.
What?
Yeah, like the bumpers I believe are the top buttons because the triggers are the back ones, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so they would the top ones they would just start breaking because like it just eventually became really, I don't know, they just used them I guess too much.
I
But
that
I'd have, sorry, go on.
I don't know. That's insane.
Yeah, I never had that issue either, and I played a lot of games, like a lot of PS4 games and a lot of PS5 games. And I've and I want to say PS5, I mean PS5 games using my PS4 controller on my PS4 upstairs, and I've never had that issue. I don't know. I don't know what you have to do to have that happen, but I know a few friends, not just one person, not just two, but like a few of them who have had issues with their controllers.
Interesting. No, I never experienced that. I also don't game a crazy amount.
No?
No, I probably maybe game like 5 to 10 hours a week at most.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's a decent amount.
I think that's probably all the ones I can think of
Okay.
for situations.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good list. We covered a variety of topics, so we understand now that it's not a problem that was um, left in the past, like with Super Nintendo controllers and 64
That's
controllers.
right. Yeah,
It's
it's like we haven't learned from our
yeah.
mistakes yet.
Nintendo Switch still gives us issues. PS4 gives us
Hmm.
issues. So technology may be advancing, but I guess it's not advancing fast enough to keep up with the level of gaming that we're doing these days.
And the funny thing is, like, our retro controllers, they're really durable. Like they can take a lot of damage. You know, I'm more confident like taking a Nintendo controller and throwing it and knowing that it's still gonna work than taking a PS4 controller
Yeah,
and throwing it. Because you take a PS4 controller and throw it, like there's a chance like you've just broken that bad boy.
yeah, 100%. There's just so much technology in there now too, right? Like with PS4 controllers, it's not just the buttons. You have like that sensor thing in the middle. You have the bumpers. You have the lights.
Yep.
You have the wireless connectivity. There's so many different factors that go in the headphone jack. Before it was just a controller was just a controller, and what was inside was
Right.
just one chip that connected to
Yeah.
something else. And
Exactly. This is more like a puzzle now,
yeah,
with all these components as opposed to just, this goes here and this goes here and there's your controller right there.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it was a good topic we got to discuss. I didn't think I would have a lot to contribute, but it seems like there were things that were hidden in my subconscious that came out today. So good
I
call.
told you. Mhm.
Very good call. Well, we hope everybody enjoyed today's episode. This is episode 30, so we've come a very, very long way from episode one.
And episode 29, I'm still working on like trying to I'm trying to download it onto like I've already got it edited. It's all good to go. I've got the title, all that jazz, and it's just not downloading from the program that I use. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I have enough space. I've tried downloading it in different formats because now it lets me do two. I can choose my format, either MP4
Yeah.
or MOV,
Okay.
which I've learned that MOV is what Apple uses.
Okay.
Um, um, and it's not downloading. So I'm going to try other things and try and get it done. But I've tried doing this over and over like 10 times now, and each attempt takes about 20-25 minutes
Yeah.
before it finally says failed to download or failed to save. So I'm hoping tonight I
Okay.
will be able to get that done and have episode 29 ready for people to watch because it's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, hopefully we get that done today, and then episode 30 will be out in the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Cheers,
That's the
everybody. Thanks so
plan.
much for joining us. Have a good day.
What's up?